Coca-Cola is instantly recognizable everywhere you go, thanks to its iconic red and white color scheme. This consistent branding ensures that no matter which continent you're on, you know exactly what you're getting. However, when you return home to your local corner store, you might notice that some Coke bottles look a bit different now with the addition of yellow caps. These unique bottles are not a mistake. Instead, they carry a special message for consumers. Only those who are aware of this message can truly appreciate the significance of these distinct caps. Different colored caps already exist on Coke bottles, so what sets these yellow ones apart? Typically, caps indicate the drink's flavor, for example, beige for vanilla. However, the bright yellow caps don't follow this convention. Furthermore, these special bottles are not available year-round. You'll only find them within a specific time frame. Spring is when yellow caps start appearing in supermarkets, so stay alert and you might spot them in person. Before you inquire about other potential changes, it's important to clarify that we're specifically discussing the cap. There's no yellow-colored liquid or any other noticeable differences on the bottle. Everything, from the famous logo to the red and white label, remains identical to your regular Coke bottle. Yes, if it weren't for the caps, you would never know there was anything unusual about these bottles. Take those lids off, and even John S. Pemberton would have trouble telling the difference. He's the guy who first combined the ingredients for Coca-Cola, in case you didn't know. But after Pemberton came up with his brilliant work, he stumbled upon a huge problem. At this point, the fizzy, sweet brew didn't have a name. However, that soon changed when Pemberton's financial advisor dispensed some wisdom. Yes, Frank M. Robinson earned his place in the history books by inventing Coca-Cola. Talk about striking gold. According to the brand's website, Robinson said, "The two C's would look good in advertising," and he wasn't wrong. From there, he also designed the popular Coca-Cola logo, which became a trademark in early 1893. But he never expected that. Imagine telling Pemberton or Robinson that their creations would still exist some 130 years later. We imagine they would be pretty shocked. How about the famous colors? When did Coca-Cola introduce this red and white scheme? Well, it happened in the company's infancy. In the 1890s, Coca-Cola used murals to advertise, and even then, the young company seemed to have its branding under control. The murals used red as a background and had lettering in white. Sound familiar? But that wasn't really the turning point. In 2018, a company spokesperson told Business Insider, "Starting in the mid-1890s, we began painting our barrels red so that tax officials could distinguish them from alcohol during transport. Since then, the colors have simply stuck. But which red does the beverage giant actually use? In reality, there is not just one shade. The red you see on Coca-Cola products comes from a trio of separate tones blended together, and the end result has never been officially recorded in design guides. Meaning, you'll just have to improvise if you want to paint a ruined Coke red. So it's easy to see why the yellow caps stand out so much. They contradict a color combination that has been in the public eye for over a century. The sunny hue practically pops against the scarlet label. But the caps may not be as noticeable in the South Pacific. Well, at least this bright yellow would clash with the cans that Coca-Cola's South Pacific branch released in 2014. For a short time in this far-flung part of the world, you could buy Coke emblazoned in 5 different colors: green, purple, blue, orange, and pink. However, with the yellow bottle caps, the situation is somewhat different. Yes, they are limited, just like the colored cans, but there is a slight variation in the drink's ingredients when comparing this formula to that used in standard Coca-Cola. While regular Coca-Cola contains high fructose corn syrup, the yellow top bottles do not. Instead, these drinks use a substance known as sucrose, a sweetener derived from both beet sugar and cane sugar. And on paper, that might seem pretty random. Why replace a single component and nothing else? It is actually quite simple. The change is being made for those celebrating Passover. Along with a number of other foods, corn syrup is off the table during the annual Jewish holiday. But sucrose isn't off limits, meaning people celebrating Passover can still enjoy a yellow cap Coke. The special caps are essentially signs that say this drink is kosher during Passover. Kosher is a Hebrew term that translates as suitable, appropriate, or correct. Simply put, it's like a seal of approval. And if something is not kosher, that means you cannot eat or drink it during Passover. The strange thing, however, is that Coca-Cola is actually considered kosher all year round. So why can't Jews just pick up the regular bottles? What makes Passover so special that it warranted a different colored Coke? Now, this is where things can get a little confusing. Food and drinks that are considered kosher during the rest of the year may still be prohibited for Passover, and standard Coca-Cola falls into this particular category. That's because the rules get stricter when annual leave rolls around in the spring. It all has to do with something in regular Coke, you see. So what are Jews not allowed to eat or drink over Passover? Well, for starters, everything that falls under the chametz category. This Hebrew term describes foods with grain ingredients, meaning anything containing oats, spelt, wheat, barley, and rye is forbidden, but there's more to it than that. Any food that rises during cooking is also off limits. And if, for example, a loaf of bread has been lying on a surface in the house, the residents must remove all traces of it before Passover. Yes, down to the last crumb. Attentive people literally cannot touch chametz for the duration of the holiday, and we can't forget kitniyat either. Similar to chametz, it also has to do with what is forbidden during Passover. Not all Jews are required to observe kitniyat. If you don't have Ashkenazi, Eastern European ties, you're usually safe, but that only covers about a quarter of the world's Jews. Anyway, kitniyat prohibits you from touching legumes and even more grains. And since corn falls under this umbrella, that means Coca-Cola should be banned for Passover unless it contains sucrose instead of the high fructose corn syrup. Yes, a small change can make all the difference. Returning to the topic of the yellow caps, it's worth noting that they aren't the only indicator of a Passover-friendly cola. A closer look reveals that the plastic lids also bear an L imprint, signifying approval from the Orthodox Union and confirming its kosher status. This organization oversees the adherence to kosher rules for various foods and beverages, making the certification process quite intriguing to learn about. For those not familiar with Jewish customs, the significance of kosher standards may be unclear. If you're unsure about which cola is suitable for consumption during Passover, Coca-Cola can provide clarity. The Coca-Cola Company offers products that are kosher year-round and specifically kosher for Passover (KFP). According to a spokesperson, in the United States, both Coca-Cola and Diet Coke are available as KFR and KFP at locations where the bottlers have chosen to be certified kosher for Passover. Products are available in select markets during the Jewish holiday of Passover.